car dealer. Car buyers more interested in hybrids and EV for their next purchases. James Batchelor, 16th of February. Car buyers more interested in hybrids and EV for their next purchase. New research from Motors and Kazoo finds sway towards alternative fuels. 55% of buyers expect their next purchase to be a hybrid or EV. Diesel is the least popular fuel choice for buyers planning their next car. The Motors and Kazoo Consumer Insight Panel quizzed 2,001 people and found 55% expect to purchase an alternative fuel car in their next buying cycle, compared to 45% for ICE vehicles. So ICE vehicles is a known quantity. Motors and Kazoo said EV consideration has reached a new high, with nearly a quarter, 24%, of respondents expecting their next car to be electric. Petrol remains the most popular future fuel choice, 36%, closely followed by hybrid, 30.5%. Well, hang on, hybrids have got an ICE engine. So really, that's 60-odd%, isn't it? Let's not kid ourselves. Let's not kid ourselves into pretending that hybrids are electric in any way, shape or form, because they're not. So I would say the majority of the driving is done on the ICE engine. So I would say that equates to 66.5% have got an engine. However, when it comes to choosing an EV, buyers are more confident about purchasing new rather than used. Nearly half, 49%, say they're confident about buying a new EV. Well, how many are confident about buying a new ICE car? Rising to 80% of those seriously considering an EV, but only around a third, 32%, say they feel confident about buying EVs aged at least 2 years old. So only a third, 2 years old, no, 2 years old, ready for throwing away, nearly coming to the end of its warranty. Don't want that. Confidence in purchasing any type of EV is highest amongst men, 60%, and buyers aged 25 to 44, 70.5%. Lucy Tugby, Marketing Director of Motors and Kazoo, said, "Our Consumer Insight Panel has provided analysis on what makes car buyers tick for 8 years and across 16 waves. These latest findings are particularly significant as they identify a tipping point among buyers away from ICE to alternative fuel cars." I'd have to argue with that, to be honest. When it comes to EVs, confidence will continue to determine whether buyers are ready to transition. Our research shows this is the strongest amongst those buying new, with a high degree of apprehension expressed by used car buyers. This highlights the important role played by dealers in listening to customers and addressing their concerns. Well, you just advertise cars, so why don't you leave the selling to us and you just advertise? You do your job advertising the cars, like Auto Trader. Advertise the cars, give us the leads and let us sell them. Stop going on about stuff you don't know about and about how good EVs are when you don't know and what our customers want when you don't know. What you do know is there's more customers on ICE cars than there are on EVs. But yet you consistently go on about EVs. Somebody's got the priorities wrong, and it's you. Especially as we start to see an increase in newer generation EVs entering the used market. The panel also identified mixed feelings about the government's electric car grant and similar schemes offered by several car brands. If you look on Auto Trader now, you will see that the cars that have got the grant, they're no cheaper. All that's happened is the manufacturers have reduced the discounts. So the taxpayers are being ripped off for a stupid grant that only an idiot would suggest is a good thing, because they don't know what they're doing and they don't know what's happened in the past, and they've just no idea, because they think cheaper will sell when it's not cheapest is not always best. It's not always the best seller, and the cheapest vehicle is not always the cheapest to run. That's where depreciation comes in. Only 35% of all buyers said these offers would make them consider an EV, so it's a waste of money. While over half, 54% of those considering an EV would choose the car best suited to their needs, rather than one that qualifies for a grant or discount. Tugby added, the research shows that the electric car grant and similar car maker programs are having a limited impact on purchasing decisions, with practical considerations outweighing incentives for many buyers. So let's translate that from PR into English. Car buyers are more interested in hybrids and EVs for their next purchase. It's based on a Motors and Kazoo Consumer Insight Panel, 2001 people, and they claim 55% expect their next car to be alternative fuel. Expect. Not definite, expect. First problem, expect is not will buy. This is not registrations, it's not orders, it's not finance approvals, it's not even showroom conversions. It's a feeling about a future intention, and those two are miles apart. Second problem, they've bundled hybrids and EVs together as alternative fuel to inflate the headline. Let's be honest, a hybrid is a petrol car with a little battery that helps you out occasionally. It's not moving away from ICE. That is ICE. A hybrid is ICE, wearing a little electric hat. And here's the part they quietly admit, the numbers. Petrol is still the single most popular future choice at 36%, hybrid is 30.5%, EV is 24%, diesel's 9.5%. So petrol's still number one. But the headline reads like we've hit some massive turning point. Third problem, EV consideration has reached a new high. A new high compared to what? They don't show the previous wave numbers in the story. No trend line, no baseline, no confidence intervals, just a phrase that sounds scientific without any of the science. They wouldn't have been able to play Matt Damon, would they?
I'm going to have to science the shit out of this.
I'm going to science the shit out of this. They've shitted the science out of it. But here's the real story, and it's the one that matters for the used market. They say confidence buying a new EV is at 49%, less than half. What would that be for petrol? I don't think there's anybody not confident in buying a petrol or a diesel vehicle. And yet 49% confidence buying an EV that's 2 years old or more is 32% on a 2-year-old car. Read that again. People are hesitant buying an EV at 2 years old. 2 years, not 10, not 15, 2. That's not a tipping point. That's fear of being left holding the bag once warranties and depreciation bites. If buyers don't trust them at 2 years old, what does that tell you about 5 years old, 7 years old, out of warranty, second owner, third owner? That's the real market question. Then we get another classic trick. They say nearly 80% of those seriously considering an EV are confident buying a new one. Well, yes. Otherwise, they wouldn't be seriously considering, would they? This is just absolute crap. I mean, well, yeah, because you've pre-selected the people who already want one and are seriously interested in buying one. That's like saying 80% of steak lovers are confident ordering steak. It's what they want. It's circular. And finally, the government grant section. Only 35% of buyers say grants would make them consider an EV, so they can't even be bribed. Even with money on the bonnet, most people still aren't persuaded, which is the exact opposite of a tipping point. What's this story? It's not a lie. It's worse. It's framing. They've padded the EV shift narrative with hybrids. They've used expect instead of buy. And the most important takeaway, collapsing confidence in used EVs. That gets buried in the middle. Here's my take. If you have to bundle hybrids with EVs to claim a shift, and if confidence drops off a cliff at just 2 years old, then the market isn't tipping, it's hesitating. And the used EV market, that's where this story really falls apart. If you've bought a used EV or you're considering one, tell me in the comments, what's your number one concern? Battery health, depreciation, warranty, charging, repair costs, or all of them? Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.